Raymond has decided to write not a slice of life piece, but a story. An anthology of island writers is being put together on the subject of holidays across the calendar, and as it's near submission time, he is sitting in the window of Breadbasket, like the interlude, sadly no more, but rescued from oblivion, drinking tea and eating a gluten-free muffin, put in to annoy those who regard such food as trendy and useless unless you have celiac disease. His position affords him a good view of the street. There goes the ever-friendly Josie Baker, a smile on her face for each person she meets. A real goer, she's going to be a mover and shaker. Ray started compiling news bits and anecdotes for a profile he'll do when her moment arrives. Or else an obituary. And then Malcolm Murray, philosophy professor, playwright, and fiction writer. A real writer, Ray knew, and he looked at his laptop with shame. Must concentrate. Christmas is what he knows best or worst. What would his peers do? What could he say that was different? How would his piece stand out for theme or character development or imagery or language? Do you think he should be asking these questions silently? For me, the words pad the length. The sun shone in true Beckettian manner. Maybe he could include people he knew to give the story a local and chummy flavor. Nah, that'd never fly with the conservative publisher of this anthology based in the west of the province. A group of storytelling writers putting together an anthology. Whatever he wrote would work better if Charlottetown didn't feature. A rustic setting would garner their approval. But he's never lived anywhere but within these pages, so that limits his knowledge. On the other hand, he's immortal, so there's that. He had never mentioned having family. Tira would object if he used so much as the shadow of her substance in a story for the world to read. So many decisions and choices that could turn into dead ends. He flicked through old files and looked at some topics from the previous year. The local dance community's hostility towards outsiders coming in to teach their ways. But trying to describe dance in prose would be as painful as reading Pasha Mala on basketball. The problem is how to evoke Christmas without getting trapped in nostalgia or worn-out imagery. He thought of Ed suddenly, who said he had a friend named Joe who had dispensed with being Catholic. He was a recovering Catholic, kind of like a recovering alcoholic. In Ray's mind, a Catholic, a word he absent-mindedly typed. He deleted it, thought about a frame, pondered his limitations, then tapped one flurry of keys, another, erased and retyped. This is a nod to movies and shows where everything depends on download complete, occurring before a door is opened on, say, Piper Parabo. Added a thought, sighed, paused. Munched on his gluten-free chocolate cookie and a similar cupcake, the muffin long swallowed. Switched to coffee. Slowly things took shape. Ray heard a voice. He knew the struggle had to enter the story through a fictional persona somewhat like him. Here's what he came up with after a few days. A special, magical, totally, awesome island Christmas. Free at last! Every school child was gleefully throwing snowballs at each other on the last day of school before Christmas at Spring Street School. Even as Johnny and Timmy were shoving icy chunks of white delight down each other's collars, the thought of tinsel and the smell of evergreen delighted them with anticipation. At home for the last few nights, their mothers had been cooking up meals and desserts that went into the deep freeze, destined to come out on Christmas Eve just a few days away. Timmy's mother made chocolate banana graham squares and sugar cookies. Johnny's went in for apricot squares and hot cross buns, no matter that Grandma Cran thought buns were only appropriate for Easter. That was her word, and Johnny had sounded it out. It seemed like an important word, one a teacher would use. Maybe that's why he never liked his grandmother, who he secretly called Crummy Gran. But she was as much a part of the family as their dear old dog, Boots, and Socks, the elderly cat, and Johnny was sure she'd be eating those buns with as much joy as anyone else. In just a few days!